bring Joe Cool back on.
Yeah, that's
And
it. See, well, now what we're going to do is we're going to bring them together, but we
yep.
got to figure out what the hell these two people are going to argue about, because they're
Well,
definitely.
I know what they're going to argue about, because we're going to go right into it right now. If you want to bring them both in here, we're going to get into the 2-minute debate section. Since you both agreed and you blew up my entry, thanks a lot, guys. But Joe Cool, I'm going to go to Keith first on this. Then you guys are going to you're just going to free ball here and have a safe debate. Right. Why? I'm going to ask this question as a law enforcement professional, and this is the question of both of you, so you'll be able to answer it. How much of a nuisance is it when you have a camera on you? How much of a problem is it when someone's trying to, be out there and distract you from the job you're doing as a law enforcement officer? And, Joe Cool, to you, obviously it's going to be, why are you doing this? Why are you torturing these cops? Wait your turn. Keith, how irritating, Keith, is it? How irritating, Keith, is it to have somebody like Joe Cool on your back?
Well, I don't think there's anything. Listen, I would never do anything that I would not want to have filmed or recorded. As a matter of fact, I'm a strong advocate for having body cams. Period. End of story. I think the camera doesn't lie, and unfortunately, when you have people, especially activists, who decide that they're going to go out and film things, well, things can be edited. It's amazing what can be edited. But to be honest with you, I like cameras because I think cameras are an opportunity to present the whole side of the story. And when that camera footage is unedited from start to finish, and I think it keeps people honest. And there have been many, many instances where people have
Joe Cool. You think he likes cameras being on him? Joe Cool, you think he likes cameras on him?
Absolutely not. I'm going to prove you don't like cameras being on, because your cameras, I can never get your footage. Oh, it's almost always inaccessible. In Chicago, we are the worst at it. We're always top 250,000 complaints against officers being hidden. So you've created the situation where we're going to come out there and hold the officials accountable. You made this happen, in my opinion, bro.
Are you a convicted felon or just a convicted misdemeanor?
No, I'm a felon.
You're a felon. Okay. So that's like saying, all right, well, so we're going to have the child who's grounded holding their parents accountable. You know what? I don't really think that you're in a position to hold anybody accountable, considering the fact that you really haven't been able to hold yourself accountable and to live as a responsible, law-abiding citizen. So it kind of invalidates your argument.
I would disagree, because my definition of a responsible citizen would be totally different from yours. In fact, my felony.
Well, you don't know me, so you can't make that assessment.
I can make that as you've lost your right to carry a gun and trust in other men. Yeah. I have to come out there. I can't put trust in other men. I have to trust that myself and come out there and make sure you guys do your job, because you do not. You find yourselves, we've investigated and found ourselves no wrongdoing. So I must be responsible and go out there and make sure my tax dollars and my public servants are behaving properly. Yeah.
What do you do for a living, sir, if you don't mind my asking?
I do home remodeling, and I get paid off YouTube.
Oh, so you get paid off YouTube. Okay, so you are paying into the system?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you are paying tax. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that don't pay taxes, and I always love it when somebody says, "Oh, my tax dollars," but then come to find out they don't work, they don't own property, they don't pay property taxes, they're not paying into the system. So, I mean, it's
Joe. When you hear somebody like Keith talking, and from a law enforcement long background, what is it that you think you need to expose about cops? Why is it you're so energized about that?
This is why I'm so energized. The entire job itself. When you clock in, you agree to do harm. My philosophy is do no harm. I believe your philosophy, let dad tell me when to be moral. If he tells you it's legal and you're supposed to slam a guy from selling weed, then that's what you will do. If he tells you fucking slavery is illegal, you will have to enforce that shit. You're not allowed to have fucking, I'm sorry with all this cursing. I don't know if you curse here or not. You're not allowed to have morals. That is my issue with my cops, my real issue. This shit has got to be changed to where your morals can come into play. What you grew up with your grandmama taught you.
Hey, Joe, just out of curiosity, is this a blanket statement across all law enforcement, or is it possible that there's just a couple of
Yeah.
bad apples in the bunch?
It's a blanket statement. They all have to obey the law, and if they're unfortunate to be around with a
Keith, you
law
can
like
jump in
Jim
anytime. This is
Crow,
a debate,
yeah,
guys. Jump in.
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how I could possibly even have a rational conversation with somebody who's got their mind made up that every cop is
no,
bad. You
I'm
just made
very
the
open
statement
minded.
that
I'm
it's a
sorry.
no, that it's across the board. So, listen, I mean, again, the bottom line is that you have a history of being a criminal. So, as far as I'm concerned,
So my
it,
opinion
it
is
really
invalid.
invalidates your argument for trying to
So you're not here
reform
to
a
debate the
system that has
argument.
held
You're
you
just here to
accountable
talk
for your
about
actions. I'm
me.
not going to talk over you. If you want to hear what I have to say, then close your mouth, open your ears,
None
and
of this
listen.
just
Otherwise, it's
attacks
really
on
not
me
going to be a
argument. That's
conversation.
what we're here to debate, not for you to tell me I'm a piece of shit. Debate
I
your
didn't say you
argument.
were a piece of shit. If
When
I
you
wanted to
clock
tell you
in at
you were a
9 to
piece of shit,
5,
I'd tell you
if
you were a
someone
piece of
tells
shit.
you to do harm, you will do it, won't you? If they tell you
Do
beat
no
that
harm.
old lady
Where
because she won't
I'm
get out the
sorry, are
car, you will do it,
you're
won't you?
confusing a doctor with a police officer. Doctors do no harm. Law enforcement's job is to go out and enforce laws. And if people are breaking
Yes,
laws, they need to be held accountable. Period.
even
End
if
of
it's
story. You may not
immoral.
like being
Yeah,
held accountable, which is
even
probably
if,
why you don't like cops,
oh,
because some
stop blaming
cops
me.
hold you accountable when you
Oh,
decided
stop
to
it.
commit the felonies that you admit that you've committed.
Even if it's immoral, you will do it. If your guy says it, if the law says it.
No, that is
Yeah.
no. You see, you're
So
making
where
a
is your
blanket
moral
statement and you're
footing to
making a
judge
blanket
me?
assumption. You're making a
I'm
blanket
asking you.
assumption.
I'm
First of all,
asking you.
there's
So
legal
Keith,
and illegal,
Keith,
moral and immoral. Do you want to
Keith,
discuss the legal and
I
illegal
said
aspect, or
what
do
I
you want to
wanted.
discuss the morality of
Moral.
the job?
I said it 4 times.
Do you want to discuss morality? Okay. What is moral to you?
It's not more to beat up an old lady because she had a cracked tail light and she refuses to put her hands on the steering wheel. You can't bust a window and hit her and tase her and shit when she doesn't comply. It's immoral. Your grandmama
Okay.
taught you that.
I don't know exactly what the particular situation is that you're describing, but here's a pro tip. If you don't want to get your ass beaten by the cops, don't be an asshole when the cops tell you to do something.
All right, Keith, that's a good point now, but that's a great point. But I want to hear, because obviously, Joe Cool, you have a perspective. You're on the street. You do walk around professionally with a camera. This is your livelihood. You just said. What's the reaction from cops? Do you get the same reaction like you're getting from Keith right now, typically? And Keith, you can jump in as the conversation's fairly going.
Typically, when I began, that was a real thing. Every cop was extremely rude, blah, blah, blah. YouTube, these videos came out. Now I'm getting cops much more courteous and polite. I'm so proud of them. I post vids showing when they do well, as opposed to cop who believes he has a right to tell a grown man where to stand when there is no law. If you're law enforcement, don't walk over to me when I'm 20 feet away and say, hey, why are you filming? What are you doing? Stand over there. If there's no law backing up, police feel like they're there to give orders. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, here's the bottom line. If it's an active investigation and you're standing there with a camera, that I don't know who you are. And I would say that any police officer would say that. Don't know who you are. If you're not a part of the situation, you can go stand over there. I don't have a problem if you film me. Go ahead and film me. Just don't get in my way and don't pose a threat to me, to the other officers, or to any member of the public that happens to be in that equation. That's it.
We're in agreement on that.
Process. You be
And
respectful.
here we are. Scott,
be respectful. Not a hard
Michelle, what do you?
We're in agreement.
Scott, Michelle, what do you think so far up to this point? And we got a lot of energy going on. Joe Cool. Actually, I'm going to say Joe Cool kept this cool. Keith,
yes,
you got the passion award of the night right here. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd say I look. I completely agree. This is really great so far. Great job to both of you guys. Keith, very similar to what Joe made a blanket statement about all cops. I'll ask you. I mean, we had the whole stop and frisk thing here in New York, right? I mean, what's your take on just looking at certain situations or certain neighborhoods that police may go into and just automatically assume that everybody's a criminal?
Well, first of all, I think it's wrong to assume that everybody's a criminal. It's the bottom line, is that we have a due process in this country. And I mean, if you have reasonable articulable suspicion to conduct that threshold inquiry, then you have to be able to articulate that. I think it's important to give people certainly the benefit of the doubt, but there's also a lot of other factors that come into play here. There's previous history, there's knowledge of a certain person. If I'm out and there's a person that I know that there's a history of, that this person has a history of criminal activity or has a history of violence or has a history of whatever the case may be, that comes into that's a spoke in the wheel of what's called the totality of the circumstances. But to go out and to treat everybody as a criminal, no, I don't necessarily agree with that.
Hey, if I could get 30 seconds back and forth with this guy, I would like
Yeah,
to.
go ahead. Absolutely.
All right,
We're gonna
and if
open
you
it
can
right back.
answer quickly, I'm going back to the morality thing. As a cop, and this is why I made a blanket statement, you're a moral guy. Is it okay for me to smoke weed? Because I'm doing it right now. Is that okay? Should a grown man, you be able to tell me I can smoke weed or not? Is that the courts decide? How does that work?
My personal opinion, if that's what you want to do, you're not operating a motor vehicle, you're not placing other people in harm's way, you're in the privacy of your own home. Listen, you know what? To be honest with you, I think lesbians should be using AK-47s to protect their pot fields. Let people. No. But I'm trying to make a point here. Listen to what I'm saying. Okay.
Me as well. I
believe in a libertarian mindset. You do what you need to do, and if it's not infringing upon the rights or the safety of other people, then that's fine. We have far too many laws in this country. That's the bottom line. I think we should be focusing on reducing a lot of the laws that are unnecessary, and we should be focusing on personal freedom, individual liberty. But with liberty and freedom, there are inherent responsibilities, and we have to be aware of those.
Please don't usurp the time. I was trying to get to this point.
No, I want to let Joe Cool wrap it up with a few words so we can get definitely a great debate.
As a law enforcement, the reason I made that blanket statement is, you see, there's nothing immoral what I'm doing. In Chicago, it's legal. I stepped 6 feet over from Illinois to Indiana, and now the law, the people who you fight for, do services for, says I'm evil. Forget what your morality just said. Go get them, and you must comply. That is why I made that blanket statement.
Oh, and here's the bottom line: is that there are only, I'm speaking of specific states that I've worked in. There are only a certain number of offenses that are mandatory arrests. There are an awful lot of people that I think recognize that with that job comes a degree of discretion, and you have to exercise discretion. And it's not about going up and listen. There are bad people in every occupation, and there are certainly bad people out there who are looking to get their sergeant stripes because they want to go out and lock people up for bullshit reasons. And I don't agree with that. I think that there's a lot of opportunity to be to turn things into a teachable moment. And to try to make a difference in the community. Maybe that's where I differ from a lot of people. But the bottom line is this. No, it's not about going out and being an automatron and just going out and just blanketly following orders. I don't do that. I'm a constitutionalist. And I would
guys, listen, great debate tonight. Scott Michelle, I got to say this. People are donating money. Hold on a second, Joe. People are donating money to send you guys on a date. That's what we got right now. I want to send you guys on a date together.
And I'm going to say this.
I would love to talk to him.
We got some great comments coming in. Someone just said, no one has a legitimate right to tell me what to do. And if I don't do it, bust my head, put me in a cage, or kill me. Somebody just said that. So, just want to throw out the comments.
Who is that person?
Yeah, I don't know. The comments it's about all the, that's Russell.
Yeah.
Houston, right?
So, Russell just said discretion is vague and ambiguous, allows for assumption and presumption.
So would Russell want somebody who's just going out and making absolutely no assessments of a situation? Or does he want somebody you can't have it both ways. And there's people out there that no matter what somebody says, they're never going to find satisfaction with it. If I came out and I said, well, the law is the law, and so we shouldn't look at and apply certain factors to each situation. Oh, no, you're just following the book. But then if I turn around and say, well, there's discretion and we should be using discretion. Oh, no, that's vague and ambiguous. So whatever, pick your side, dude. Come on.
I don't buy that
absolutely.
argument. If you were the cop during slavery days and they told you to bring that slave back, you would do it. You would not say, my discretion says, let
you
this
really
guy
have
go.
to turn it into a slavery discussion for the love of God.
Come
on.
There's nothing wrong with using a slavery analogy. Get your sensitive ass out.
Whatever that shit is you're puffing is busted. Come on. Come on.
Fuck out of here. Don't try to.
Oh, we're going to talk.
Joe Cool did it. Joe Cool. Hey, Joe Cool, you did it for the first time on the show. You went into the race card. Thank you, Joe Cool. You dropped right into the race card. Thanks a lot. Scott, what do you think? We're going to let people vote?
Sensitive people, bro. Fuck you niggas. right?
We're going to let
I
people
could-
vote
I
here,
could've
right?
brought
And the
up-
Can I use that word, Joe?
502-505-0097,
Can I use that
said
text
Nazi
1 for
and all
Keith
that shit,
and 2
no
for Joe.
problem. Race,
1 for
it's a
Keith or
black
2 for
problem.
Joe.
It's a
Thanks,
problem.
guys. I got to
could've
tell you,
said
Scott, we're
Nazi,
going to go back to you and
gay,
Michelle.
no problem.
Joe, dude, stay right there, Joe. I'm going to let you talk again. Believe me. Just, you got a lot to say. Scott, this was a high impact. Michelle, what did you think?
Let me tell you go ahead, man. Yeah, I mean, I mean, that was, whoa,
Yeah.
this was exciting.
That was heated. That was great. But I have to say, to be honest, I hate blanketed statements. It's like saying all cops are bad, all black people are bad, all white people bad, all Muslims are bad. Hated. Hated. It has no place in a debate. It just, for me, you lose credibility. I'm sorry. You could be the greatest guy. But when you put everyone on the same level, not cool. Not cool, Joe Cool.
Joe Cool, you just got told not cool. I thought Keith and him had a really good discussion. Scott, what was your takeaway?
Absolutely. I thought it was awesome. Great way to start out the first episode. It's only going to get better from here. I want to remind everybody out there that the voting is open. So scrolling on the bottom of your screen the entire time has been the number. So what you want to do is you want to text your vote. You text 1 for Keith and 2 for Joe. Again, that's 1 for Keith, 2 for Joe. That number is going to be up there, and I'm going to start working on changing the ticker on the bottom for our next debate. And Kevin, I'll leave it up to you whether or not you're going to bring these guys back in.
Yeah, I'm going to actually bring them back on and just going to say, a couple pleasant. Can you bring Joe Cool on? I can't scroll all the way down there, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I got Joe.
Thank you. So I'm used to having Paula. Paula's not. All right. So Joe Cool, I want to go back to you first. Keith, great job, both of you. This is exactly what the platform's about. So Joe Cool, you know nothing what you were coming into. What's your response? We're having a debate style show where people get together normally that wouldn't talk, and we have a conversation. What's your thoughts about that?
Thank God for that. And thank God you paired me with a courageous guy. I was so afraid that you'd get me up here with someone who was afraid to speak their mind or something, because most people hold those beliefs, are afraid to get behind them. I think it was cool that you let us go a little bit of freestyle. I dig it, bro. I dig it. And I knew nothing. That's what I was doing. I like it.
We like it, and maybe you can help us get some folks from your area and across the country. Obviously, Tim helps you. We'd love to get more. Keith, what's your thoughts about today's? Obviously, your debut, and I just think you and Joe Cool, man, you hit it out of the park. Your thoughts?
No, it's fun, and I agree with him. I mean, not knowing what the question was going to be, or just having a very, very generalized overview of what the process was going to be. So, no, I think it's good.
So clearly, Kevin did not do a good job of explaining to the guests what they're coming on for. But, we kept you in the dark. It was good. Listen, the vote's going to continue on, guys. You can hang out in the back room. You can wait for the announcement, or you can find out later. You're welcome to stay here and watch the rest of the show. Who knows? Maybe we'll even call you back in if you're back there. You never know.
Get here. I'll hang out in the back. I know how
Thank you so much.
Get back to where we are.
Enjoy your joint back there. You smoke away. Keith,
thank
you.
I got a bowl. All right.
And pass Keith the blunt. You know he's a double puffer. He'll pass, puff, or puff, pass.
Never happens.
Thank you, Keith. I'll put you in the back room now. All right, there they are. Hey, listen, I thought it was a great show. Joe Cool has got to be put in the back room, guys. Yep, perfect. There you go. So you're getting ready for the next two. Who are we bringing on, Scott?
Yeah, so we have Joe and Derek coming on right now.
I think we're going to be changing that to Dewan. Dewan is going to step in. Dewan and Derek.
Oh, so it's going to be Dewan and Derek. All right.
That's correct.
All right. So I'm just going to make a change here for voting. And we will get the next debate started right now.
I'm going to bring Dewan in. Here he is. Dewan, a return player here. And actually tonight, guys, you're going to have 2 return players. That's right. You're going to have Dewan and our guy from Texas, Larry Dale Carpenter. But let's go to Dewan first. You look very serious right now, Dewan. Are you angry?
No, not at all.
Look at your opponent up there in the corner. This guy is a rhino killer. I mean, look at him. Derek Vance. He's also does talk shows. He's also got a law enforcement background. So you two are going to, I think, have a really enjoyable conversation. Derek, welcome. Derek, welcome. No, Derek?
Hello, Derek.
Derek, are you here? You know, when Fox News has these freeze-ups, there we go.
Frozen.
Derek, you got to talk. Yep, he's frozen. I'm going to
Somebody
take him out
thaw
of the
him
room. If he
out.
can hear me, walk back out of the room. Come on back, Derek. Let's see if it works now. Can you hear me? All right. And we're going to carry on. Derek, see if you come back to us, buddy. All right. So, Dewan, last week you were here. While he's fixing that, you were here on the show, the debut. Well, not even the debut. It was really our trial run. And I got to tell you, I think Scott and Michelle would agree. You really helped us with, understanding what things are, where we're going to go with this. And we're still learning. What was your experience? I mean, obviously you're back. Did you enjoy it? What can we do to make it better? Your thoughts?
I did enjoy it. Maybe at some points you could probably have like someone write the questions out with a more liberal bias, just to see if it just to kind of like, I don't know, spice it up since you guys are both conservative. So
That's a
you
fair
frame
one.
the
So
question
that's
with a
fair.
liberal bias, and it'll probably like just be a bit more challenging in a sense.
Well,
We
I can
love
officially tell you right
suggestions.
now, I'm a libertarian. I'm no longer a Republican, just so you know. But go ahead, Scott.
Well, look, let's, in my opinion, let's call a spade a spade. A question is a question. So, for example, like at the last debate, I mean, just about cops and the age of gun holder, et cetera, right? I mean, I don't think it matters if a Democrat or a Republican wrote that question. And the point behind here is really the question is just to get you guys talking and then take it from there. I don't think the questions themselves lean in any particular order. I mean, I don't think they sway any
No,
particular.
I don't think that y'all are putting the questions in a way that would lean right wing. But even if they did, it doesn't really bother. It wouldn't really bother the way of the conversation because we get like a minute and a half to minutes to respond. So we've got plenty of time to frame the question the way that we want it framed or respond the way we want to respond.
Well, absolutely. So, for example, we have somebody by the name of Brock Maddox who's out in the audience watching us, and he said, "We're all Americans. Labels divide." And as far as I'm concerned, he's absolutely right. So it doesn't matter, Democrat, Republican, black, white, Asian, doesn't matter. We're all Americans, right? So the purpose of this debate is you ask the question, and people are going to inject their opinions. And everyone likes to hide behind the keyboard on social media. And now here's a time for everybody to put their money where their mouth is and come face to face without listening to politicians always on the news go back and forth. But this is the chance for America.
It'd be
Yeah, and
nice
not
if
only that,
All right,
politicians
we're going to
actually.
change it up. Hey, Scott, can you change the ticker and put Larry? When Derek pops in, he'll go down to the next one with Tim, or excuse me, Slayer Nation, just so we can go along because we're on a time frame. So we're going to have Larry Dale Carpenter. Sorry, I made a command decision on the fly, and Dewan for this next debate.
All right, let's
And
get
you're
it
going to change it
going.
around. You can change it around. We're going to start right now, guys, and we're going to go right into the debate. Again, it's going to be 30 seconds each. Please be conscious of that. Take advantage of the time, and then we'll bring you back in for a 2-minute open round. Guys, unlike last week, you get to go at it. Have some fun. Obviously, let the other person speak, and if you're not, we'll just silence you. So be prepared. I will hit the button and silence you. Scott, you ready? Michelle?
We are ready.
Here we go.
Although I will say, you guys have a really tough act to follow, so this better be good shit right now.
Yep, that's right. I want to hear. We need energy, guys. Some energy from you guys.
bring it.
Okay. And the first question is going to be to Larry this time. That's right, Dewan. I'm going to go to Larry because you can't make me say that twice because I went to the black guy the first time. This time I'm going to Larry. Okay. So here we go, Larry. The first question is going to be to you and Dewan both, and it's going to be in regards to a racial divide in this country. Many people are using race as an excuse for many reasons, such as for crime. In fact, in the earlier debate, we heard Keith actually kind of going back at Joe Cool a little bit about that. Do you believe there should be a different way that you approach crime when dealing with Black Americans versus, say, white Americans, in your opinion? Got to hit your volume, Larry.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me
It's
now?
okay. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So we're all the same. So when police officers are acting on their duty, they're doing something because they're doing it for their own safety. So I can't speak on behalf of everybody in every single officer that makes a traffic stop or has to do a call out. But you're aware of your surroundings. You know what's happening, and unfortunately, in today's world, it's getting more and more dangerous. So, cops are going to act differently in certain areas where it might be predominantly more black, it might be predominantly white. But I give power to all law enforcement to use whatever action is necessary. And unlike Joe Cool, I 100% and fully support and back up law enforcement. And it's unfortunate that you have this anti-law enforcement sentiment going on out there. And it's certainly not happening in Texas and not in Tarrant County.
All right, he was talking a little too much. That's right. I just put him over in the corner. He went over his 30 seconds, and I knew it was going to be the guy from Texas because you know what? Their stopwatches down there are bigger than their wallets. Dewan, the question simply is, the racial issues in our country today clearly have divided us. Obviously, at the end of the day, we're having a lot of the repeat conversations. We know we anticipate a hot summer. Do you believe race should be prevailing when it comes to sentencing, when it comes to arresting? Should we let people, because they're of color, brown and tan skin, should they get away with crime, or should this be something where everyone should be held accountable?
Well, of course not, but the questions are usually about the levels of policing in certain communities and what is considered a crime. Where we're talking violent crime, this is why we have police. We need them to ensure that our republic stays in order, that our streets stay safe. So I wouldn't want race to become too paramount in that at all.
Well, clearly you're on top. Scott and Michelle, come on in here and let's bring Larry back in. If you could grab Larry too. I'm sorry. My fingers are fat.
No. We got Larry.
He disappeared.
Yeah,
appreciate it. So,
Larry,
Larry, you heard Dewan kind of agrees with you in a lot of the ways that you're thinking, although Black Lives Matters and the social movement groups that Dewan, you were affiliated with, obviously in the past, and you're kind of taking a time out, but you still support, they don't project that same thing. Larry, what's your feelings about organized people that go around and picket in cities? Seriously, I want to hear your response. And Dewan, we're going to get you into it this week, you like it or not.
Well, yeah, my serious opinion is that people that participate in a lot of these riots or certain areas where they want to go and picket a certain topic, I think a lot
Dewan,
of
you can jump in. Don't wait for him. Don't let him punk you out.
A lot of this is fueled by people behind the scenes that have a lot of money, and they're in here dumping
come on,
stuff.
the majority of these protests are peaceful.
Oh, yeah. I think when you see fires in the background going, and then you have a newscaster saying it's totally peaceful, I think.
You think the United States doesn't? You think the United States doesn't have a history of agitating peaceful riots in order to subvert them?
Well, so
come on, we're both adults. We're educated. We know that this is the history of our country.
I'll give you an example. Here in the area I live in, we have a city just right outside, and they're wanting to take down a statue. And of course, it's a wrong choice because they're going into redneck territory. I can't remember which one it was, but they were wanting to take it down.
Kind of matters what the statue is. It might be a statue of Hitler.
No. It's it would be a statue of our founding fathers. And so they wanted to have this thing removed.
Which founding father? Why? What's their reasoning?
Well, so that's my whole point. They're getting people from out of state.
Well, hold on. Minus Hitler, Dewan, right? No matter what, we learn about history, right? So, and I'm not taking sides one way or another. I'm just making a blanket statement that history is history and shouldn't be erased. And that I'm going to say. A statue of Hitler is, you're talking about complete genocide.
Hey, Dewan, I think he is taking sides, Dewan. Dewan, he is taking sides. He's siding with Larry. That's what he's doing.
Well, we're both from the South, though. We know that there are statues of like Nathan Bedford Forrester and people who actively lynched Black people. So what I'm saying, who's the statue about? I mean, it's kind of something that matters, especially in the South.
Well, so what I was pertaining to, or the statue that was pertaining to, is one of the founding fathers. So these guys, they actually helped bus in people that weren't even from Texas. And that was 100% verified. They went to a city called Weatherford, Texas. It's in Parker County. And it was a very bad mistake Even the state troopers stopped the bus right before they got to the city, and they told them, "You don't want to go in there, guys, because these rednecks, they're ready to kill." And sure enough, I mean, there had about 200 rednecks with pickaxes ready to go, pitchforks, and nobody went into the
What
city
exactly
because
do you
Wait,
mean by
Larry,
redneck?
Larry. We had pitchforks. Was it the storming the Frankenstein castle? What are you talking about?
Well,
well, you know,
what do
I
you
feel
mean
like
by rednecks here? It seems like the inhabitants of this land chose to be unlawful, and the officers didn't go and kick the right ass.
well, they were just warning them, just saying, "Hey, look, if you come into the danger zone, we can't help you. They're gonna end up killing you." So, and they
So
didn't
the
go
cops
in.
chose to let the citizens be lawless that day and
Well, I mean,
warn
how are
people that
you?
they would.
Look, you don't know who's going to do what, and you're just warning somebody. If you got 200 people protecting a statue of the founding fathers, and you want a bus full of thugs to come in there, yeah, put
Okay,
one
if
on
I
the.
had to walk you into a building and say, I can't guarantee your safety once my friends get to seeing you, everybody knows that's an implicit threat. You're pretending like you just gave a story where the cops implicitly threatened the protesters.
No, they just said, "Hey, look, if you show up, we don't know if we can protect your safety."
That's a fucking threat.
Well, the thing is, if
Why
you're
are
going to
the
go,
cops enforcing a fucking threat in your story, man? I'm
Hey,
not saying all cops are
This is
bad, but you
Texas.
just
We're
started out
talking
with
about
some bad
Texas, Dewan.
cops.
Dewan, this is Texas. It's a different place in Texas.
look,
At
I
least
mean,
up
all
here
they're
where
just
we're
saying is like,
civilized in
if there's
Connecticut, we
200
already
people
know that
there,
cop committed a crime.
they
All
can't
right, all right.
guarantee anybody's safety if you're going to go into a hostile area. It's like if I go to an Antifa protest, they can't guarantee my safety.
A bunch of people turn around and said they're going to whoop the ass of the people if they show up there, and the cops aren't going to do their job and maintain order, and you're defending it.
Well,
If you have
let me,
200 people,
Larry. Let me ask a question, Dewan. To that very good point, when you have been involved in some of the protests you've been involved, I've seen the video. There was some violence that took place in these videos. In fact, I got to be honest, Dewan is calm right now. You pull up his video of Dewan Eastman. You don't have a street name, right? You're not like our guy down there, Joe Cool, that's still watching, right?
Nah, they weren't handing him out at Central Connecticut State.
Okay, so but you've been in violent situations to this very valid point. Should it just be
Yes.
all for one and one for all, or how do you debate that? The cops can't fight it every day.
Well, in the situation I was in, the cops actually punched a young lady that was like 100 pounds. There wasn't much violence to be done. All we could do was sit there and try and, calm the young lady down. After she got punched, the cop claimed that he thought she was a boy or something. And then they tried to arrest her, and then they let her out after we protested her for a while. So, I mean, the violence was very one-sided, as it tends to be with law enforcement, because they're better armed than we are.
well,
Larry, when you see these guys doing the protesting,
So,
we're talking about it.
Kevin,
I see these guys across the country. Does that get to you? Does it anger you, Larry? Are you mad?
wait, Kevin. Before you answer that question, one of our viewers, because we got to pay some attention here to our viewers, who has a question. When this actually was a comment, right? So someone said, and as it relates to Dewan with being or peaceful protests, they said peaceful my ass, Dewan. 370 plus cities burned and people died, right? Then we got another one saying, let's see.
I don't remember burning any cities, but if I did, I apologize for it.
But
Well,
other activists did. You do admit that, right? You
Right.
know there was some
Yeah,
burning.
I mean, we've seen
Right.
that.
That's like saying the same on January 6th, right? The majority of the people were calm and protesting calmly, other than the animals.
Yeah, I mean, there's a clear line here. When people get violent, I don't approve of that. Just like in January 6th, if people are violent, you either approve of that or you don't. I don't.
Correct.
Violent protest, destruction of property, that's not necessary. That's not
So
how
then
you
you
get your
would
point
say the
across.
same thing. So just to make sure we're on the same page, then you say the same thing about a BLM protest.
Yes.
Okay, fair. All right, Larry, go ahead. Answer Kevin's question.
So Kevin, what was
go ahead.
the question was regarding?
No, I'm just asking if you get upset when you hear from someone who is an actual. This was Dewan's motivation over the last couple of years, is to be an organizer in Connecticut. The very things you see and you're commenting about, he has been leading the way, and he's a leader This guy's a leader. He has hundreds of people that will follow him if he called to action right now. The point is, does this upset you, Larry? Is this the un-American you talk about sometimes?
Well, it doesn't really bother me because I've lived around the world. I've seen a lot of different crazy crap, but the one thing that you don't see is this
like citizens using cops to threaten people. Apparently,
but one
from
thing
your own
I
words.
would say is that the protests that I see, and we don't really have very much in Texas, but the very few that we have, it usually doesn't end well for the protesters. We have about two
Because of the
liberal
violent
cities.
redneck problem you have.
We've got Dallas and we've got Austin. These two cities, other than that, the rest of Texas is great. Even the largest city in Texas and the third largest, I think, in the country, Houston, we have very, very little problems with all this crap that goes down. Speaking across the state, I mean, we're at the end of the day, we're all Americans. So I care deeply about what happens across the country. So if there's a BLM protest or there's an Antifa that's happening and they're acting, quite animalistic, I'm going to definitely not be happy. But at the same time, I'm here to protect Texas, and I want to see things go very peacefully here. And unfortunately, it seems
Hey,
like
Larry, you got a question from a viewer. Someone wants me to ask you your thoughts on the Proud Boys.
I've heard of these guys. I'm not really familiar because I'm not in this organization, but I think is the Proud Boys, is this some right-wing group?
They're a white nationalist group.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not really. I've heard of this name, but I don't know very much about them. I mean, are they similar to like the White Knights of Columbus, or what is this?
Well, so I obviously the Proud Boys were the Proud Boys were affiliated with obviously a lot of January 6th. Enrique, the leader, very heavily profiled. In fact, friend of our show and Norm Pattis, who's watching, actually had an interview with Enrique on a show. Dewan, what's your thoughts of the Proud Boys and the incident? Actually, if you don't mind, it's a great kind of segue as we wrap up this great debate. What do you think about the January 6th? Were those rioters or were those people peacefully protesting? Because they didn't burn the building down. They just tore it down tore it up.
They were bulldozing cops, which I've never done. They were bulldozing, running over cops, threatening to kill people with their own weapons, and someone got shot. If that happened in one of my protests, I would expect, especially if we unfortunately found ourselves in Texas, a very good ass whooping. And so I expect some that you could say that they crossed the line on January 6th.
Well,
all right.
So regarding
Larry,
January
your
6th,
thoughts?
Well, as you didn't allow me to do an introduction at the beginning, Kevin, but I think I don't think Dewan knows, but I ran for county commissioner here in Tarrant County, us being the third largest county in the state of Texas. I met quite a bit of different folks, and one thing that I did find is a lot of people that are in our sphere of influence. They went up to DC, did nothing illegal, did nothing wrong. They all had the same story, and none of them know each other. I know probably about 7 people that went up there, 7 different groups, and they all have one thing in common, is that the FBI all went to their house, just, I guess, out of using artificial intelligence to find out who was on what screen that day, and they went straight to their house. One guy actually got flashbang. That was the only violent one I knew about when the FBI went to go visit. But other than that, I don't see anything wrong with what happened on January 6th. Of course, you're going to have 1 or 2 bad actors out of all of them that go and try to do something that's violent. But the overwhelming majority of people that were there, especially on Capitol grounds, did nothing. And when you have police just saying, hey, look, come on in, just come on in, do whatever you need, I think it's more of a setup than anything else.
And
what do you think about Dewan? Just wrap it up. Larry says January 6th.
Yeah, we're gonna need to cut this.
All right, we're gonna cut it because we're gonna move along. But Dewan, just yes or no, was January 6th a setup or was it crime? It was a crime.
It was a crime.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Put you guys in the back room, guys. Remember, you can vote for either Larry or Dewan. You see the number. It's trolling here, 502-515-0097. Text 3 for Dewan and 4 for Larry. I don't know. This was a good one, guys. I'm actually pretty surprised, Scott. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, just for all the viewers out there, I'm going to give an update on the results of the poll so far. And I just want to let you know, so we have no results right now for the second debate. It doesn't look like anybody has voted yet, so please make sure you go out and vote. But Joe Cool and Keith are 50-50.
Oh, what? It's coming down. It's going
It is
down.
a tie. So it was one. It was what was it? It was one for Joe and two for Keith. And right now they are literally tied at 50-50. And for the second debate, we want to make sure that you get out there and text either 3 for Dewan or 4 for Larry. And with that, we're going to start the next debate, and I'm going to get that set up right now.
Okay. As you do now, I'm going to bring him in, actually. Here we go. We're going to go right over to Tyrant Slayer. He was just letting me know that Joe Cool on his platform is 75% leading in that race. He's also doing a little bit of a race. Listen, we got a little bit of a change up. Derek Vance, technology. I think the Biden administration used their technology and jammed his equipment, so he could not continue. We're going to bring in a heavy hitter, Tyrant Slayer. We're bringing in a heavy hitter. He's going to take you on in this debate. It just so happens to be a guy named Scott. Scott, that's right. There he is, the guy with the glasses on.
Yeah, and I'm setting this up, so and I better win. And I have no idea. I don't know what question you're going to ask me, but that's all right.
There's a lot of questions coming in from Pat and others. So let's talk to you, Tyrant Slayer, while we're getting Scott set up. Let's we'll kind of knock you guys off. Scott, come right back on when you're ready. Tyrant Slayer, talk a little bit about you, your platform, and what you do.
All right. Well, thanks for the opportunity to be here and for the time to introduce myself properly. I think for one reason or another, which I cannot explain, I think I'm often portrayed as an antagonist of law enforcement, someone who is anti-law enforcement, but I want to assure all the viewers here today that is not the case. I am very much pro law enforcement, just so long as that law enforcement official is honoring their oath and essentially adhering to the Constitution of the United States. You could find my work as a government accountability activist, a person who's become known to be a cop watcher, a First Amendment auditor. Is another
this guy
term
definitely
that's used.
voted for Biden.
Yeah, so let's
no.
I don't think he did vote for Biden. But Scott, we know about you. Obviously, you're going to go into this debate here with Tyrant Slayer. And one of the things that I know that he does, he contributes on my regular show. We had some healthy discussions where I didn't agree with him, Scott. So I'm going to lead you down the pathway of some of those opportunities. For example, I'm going to go right to you, Scott, first, and then Tyrant Slayer, you'll have a chance to respond, and then you guys can get into your debate. Use of force. Do you believe that use of force, using deadly force, should be basically removed from an option from law enforcement? There's many across the country that would like to take the actual guns off of law enforcement. That is an actual conversation. I would then go further to say, what would you replace them with if you would support that? And if you don't support it, give a reason why.
Support taking guns away from cops? That's like saying I'm going to take pens and pencils away from school children. I mean, that's one of the most absurd things that I've ever heard. Law enforcement is there for a reason. They're there to protect and serve. And I'm going to say, just like anything else, and I think, Kevin, somebody said it, there's bad apples in every profession. I don't care what it is you do. I don't care if you're a contractor, a doctor, a lawyer. There's always bad apples. So the cops are there to do their job, to enforce the law, and to protect the citizens of the United States. And one way to do that is to ensure that they have the proper means to do so, which is handcuffs, a taser, a gun, whatever that may be.
Obviously, that was a good response. We'll go right over here to our guy, Tim. Tim, you heard that. Now, I'm going to think that you're probably going to be a little bit in line. However, the use of weapons and use of force is something that you go after quite often. In fact, not just the actual use of force, but the anything that comes into evidence with regards to that. You talk about it a lot, at least. Your thoughts on that topic?
Well, the use of force is obviously going to depend on the RAS, the reasonable articulable suspicion of what's going on, whether or not the individual is actually verbalizing themselves to be a threat. Listen, I am not by any stretch of any imagination for disarming the police with lethal weapons. You know, they're going to need lethal weapons. If we look at history, we can clearly see what happens in Europe and elsewhere around the world when police are disarmed and sent on bicycles with batons to go address, you know, terrorists with
And
AK-47s.
you know what? And I mean this sincerely, but it's interesting because you often talk about actually putting police out of business and starting using the sheriffs as an example of that, you know, sort of enforcement. Would it be safe to say that you don't really, if defund the police went all the way in and they got rid of cops in towns across Connecticut, would that make you happy? Is that something? Because you do talk about going to the sheriff system all the time.
Well, I think you may be conflating what my ultimate point is, or goal is, or philosophy is, for that matter. I think that's a better word to use. I am not for defunding the police and putting the police out of business. What I am for is reforming the dysfunctional control that the unions have over the police,
What's the
and
dysfunction? What's the dysfunctional control? What's the dysfunctional
well,
control? Define that.
I think the unions are, not just historically speaking, but in present situations that we could see involving a number of public employee unions around the nation, in Connecticut as well. Leadership is bad. There's a lot of corruption from the top in the unions. I'm not saying that the police themselves are all bad. That's never my message. I actually applaud, I think, like Joe Cool, who could have spent a little more time talking about his pro law enforcement endeavors. There are a plethora of things I do that are very pro law enforcement. I'm a 4th degree Knight of Columbus. I helped vest the K9 unit in the Farmington Police Department. My grandfather was a cop in Hartford.
Tyrant Slater, let me ask you though, and then you guys get into debate. But that sounds good. But you were out there with a camera when the police officer's doing his job. I mean, I'm sure Scott, if he saw some of the videos, probably wouldn't approve of that. That's hard for me to understand if you really believe in police.
Well, creating transparency and a view for the public that is generally not seen because corporate media likes to edit their videos. That first debate, I think the guy's name was Keith. He mentioned, people like to edit videos and they could be edited. Well, in our community where we're literally trying to create transparency and accountability, we don't conflate the truth or create deceptive content. We stand plenty far enough away. First of all, if there's no crime scene tape, if there's no crime scene, then there's really no restricted access to the public beyond the discretion that's mutual between the officer and the citizen. And providing that officer 30, 40 feet to film a motor vehicle stop is very reasonable. And you're not interfering if you're not physically engaging. You're not breaking any laws.
I'm not quite understanding exactly what your point is here. What is your point?
My point is that filming police and creating transparency and accountability, not just for the citizens but for the police, is not a distraction. It's a lawfully protected activity. Provided and afforded to us, covered by the First Amendment of the. It's our right.
Wait. So basically, what you're saying is, no matter what the situation is, you think it's okay for somebody who has no involvement in anything whatsoever to stand around and film what a police officer is that they're doing their job, right?
That's not quite what I'm saying. Not any situation. Like, I wouldn't want to be a journalist approaching a car accident where someone who just lost a life, and there's really traumatic events taking place, and there's family members that don't know yet. I wouldn't want to broadcast that live on my YouTube channel because that would just be, unethical.
So basically what you're saying then is what you're looking to do is trap the police, so to speak, right? You want to trap them and say, okay, well, if they're on a scene where they're trying to save somebody's life who is in a potentially catastrophic car accident, that's okay. But if they're chasing somebody down the street who just potentially robbed the poor old lady, then it's okay to film them just to make sure that they treat them.
No, I think
what
you're
you're
missing
saying?
I think you're missing the point and kind of creating hypotheticals, equivalent to like, eating yellow snow and what would happen kind of thing. Like we could save a lot of time basically filming public servants, not just police, and creating government accountability, transparency, and when appropriate, liability is basically the initiative. That's what our goal is. We want to create a transparent disclosure, a dissemination of information to the public, matters of public interest to the public involving
A
our
question,
public
Tim.
servants.
A quick question here. It came in, and we're wrapping up, folks. This has been a great show. Scott's jumping in, but a question here is there this disconnect between constitutional and a patriot? Because some people think the Constitution, they have a different interpretation. We'll wrap this up on this last question between the two of you.
I mean, I don't even know if I really quite understand.
Well, it came from Russell, not me, so you have to ask him.
No. I get it. I mean, I'm just going to look. The Constitution is a legal document that we abide by. It's up for interpretation, hence the reason why we have court systems and constant ongoing battles. Like, for example, right now, current topic of what's going on with abortion. A patriot is somebody who loves this country. That's it, plain and simple.
Well, I think the definition of a patriot.
Word.
I think the definition of a patriot would vary if you go from Google to another search engine, or you talk to a baby boomer, or you talk to somebody who's 18 years old. I think you and I could agree on what a patriot is. I think what you're misunderstanding is that public photography, journalism, the freedom of press is a constitutionally protected activity covered by the First Amendment. And anything that I can see in public, whether it's a police officer, a car accident, a robbery, a shooting, or a crime scene for that matter, I have every right to go up there and film and document that situation for matters of public interest.
Tim, thank you so much. Scott, I got to tell you, Tim, thank you. Tim, nice job. I got to tell you right now, because I don't want this to close out without everyone understanding. 502-515-0097. You text 5 for Tyrant Slayer and 6 for Scotty Too Hottie. That's right. What a good show. Michelle, what'd you think?
Awesome show. Great answers. A lot of passion. I love it.
And I think because we do have to wrap up at 7:29, and we got our closing credits, but we have 1 minute for all the votes to come in so that we can count them. And
Everybody
I can tell
needs
you,
to vote.
and
Come
I can
on.
tell you right now, we still have Derek and Joe in a tie. Keith won his debate, and let's see what we got now.
So Keith ended up beating Joe Cool.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, I got to tell you, they're all really, really, really close.
They're really close? Yeah, I thought they were close.
Yeah. So, I mean, this awesome show, and want to thank everybody for attending. We look forward to seeing you next week. And what do you got to say to close out, guys?
Michelle, what do you got?
Yeah, for all the comments. I'm sorry we didn't have enough time to address everything. I am reading them. They're valid. We love you guys and hope to see you next week, same time.
And by the way, if you want to audition for the show, make sure you email Kevin@themasterdebaters.net. Kevin@themasterdebaters.net.
Send the request for the Master Debater show to the Master Debater, Kevin Allen. Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you.
See you next
Goodbye,
week, guys.
everybody.
6:30 p.m. on your